Well, good morning all, and thank you for being here. I'm State Senator Shelley Mayer. It's truly a pleasure to be here for a sad story, but a wonderful place, which is the Carver Center, and we're incredibly grateful to them for hosting us and for all that they do here in serving the people of Portchester, one of the neediest communities, frankly, that we have in Westchester, a place that is extremely dependent on SNAP, which is the new word for food stamps. And we are here together with elected officials, community, and others who I'll introduce to really point out the incredible damage that this big, beautiful, ugly bill that was passed in Congress will do to the people of this community and this county by drastically changing the rules of food stamps and SNAP. And this is going to have an absolutely terrible impact on the people who you will see on a regular day at 12 o'clock waiting outside here to be at the food pantry or to using their benefits. So I'm very pleased to be here with so many others who know that this is the most serious matter, because we're talking about the ability of our residents to live in peace and to have enough food to survive. And we take it so seriously, and we are so distressed about the impact of this bill. So joining me today is our Congressman, George Latimer, who has been one of the outspoken opponents of this bill in every respect, but certainly this portion. Tammy Wilson, who is the head of Feeding Westchester, our partner in the incredible efforts to bring food throughout our county. And I can only say firsthand, since COVID, they have just done an incredible job of expanding their services. Ann Bradner, the CEO here of the Carver Center, my colleagues in elected office, county legislator and president of the New York State Association of Counties, Ben Boykin, county legislator Erica Pierce, county legislator Nancy Barr, county legislator Judah Holsting, and county legislator Jewel Williams Johnson. And I very much appreciate that they're all here with me. I'm just going to walk through some of what this bill is really about. The whole point of this bill in changing SNAP benefits is to cut how much money is expended on SNAP and to use that money for tax benefits. It just transfers basically 20% of the cost of SNAP, and it removes that from the federal budget. And this was adopted, and just not to be unduly partisan, every Republican member of Congress from the state of New York voted for this bill. This bill reduces federal funding by 20% by changing how the program operates. Each of those changes will impact those needing SNAP for food assistance and are projected to reduce the number of New Yorkers receiving benefits by 300,000 people. Average loss of $220 per month per family. And let me just tell you, in Westchester, according to the data I could find, currently in 2022, over 77,000 people in our county were receiving SNAP. That number has more than doubled, because in 1997, less than 40,000 received it. In 2021, 73,000, now over 77,000. Because the cost of food, the cost of housing has become so high here in our county, so many more people are eligible because New York believes in supporting these families. And at the same time, the use of food pantries, including the one here at Carver, which we'll get to see afterwards, have increased dramatically. And I just want to credit Feeding Westchester, which in addition to promoting SNAP benefits, actually provides food to so many food pantries here in Portchester. And many of us have been to all of them: Caritas, Don Bosco, El Shaddai Church of God, Ministerious El Shaddai, Mount Zion Baptist Church, the Open Door Family Medical Center, Ridgeway Alliance, Salvation Army of Portchester, Segunda Iglesias Pentecostal Church, and the Terrace Avenue Apartments. That's all in Portchester. That's all food being distributed in addition to people being eligible for SNAP benefits. So we are talking about a critical problem for our state and for our county, and that's why I'm glad our county legislators are going to be here. This is going to impose an additional burden. So some of the things that are going to happen is expanding work requirements. There already are work requirements. They just make them more punitive and more difficult for those who are on food stamps. Limiting the authority of the USDA to increase the thrifty food plan. That serves as the basis for determining how much people should get. They're going to actually put a cap on whether that can rise. They're going to increase the state costs for the administrative parts significantly. States are now going to pay 25% of the administrative costs, and some of that's going to be directed on the counties. And imposing a state share for administrative costs that is going to be new money that is going to be taken out of the budget and therefore really decrease the amount. And on eligibility, undocumented people, just so people understand, have not been eligible for SNAP except under very limited circumstances, like they have asylee status or they are refugees, deemed refugees by the United States. That was something that was authorized. But now, even those people are not going to be eligible. Humanitarian, people who are under humanitarian special grant of immigration status, they're not going to be eligible. And we know what that means in our county, where so many people have documented status or on the path to documented status, and they are not going to be eligible. So we can't stand by. We have to speak up. We have to be loud. We have to make our voices heard. This is a real threat to families, to veterans, to seniors, and particularly to children. Don't fool us. Don't let them fool us. Children are going to have less food to eat because SNAP benefits will be cut. And lastly, for a village like Portchester, which has all these wonderful stores and bodegas and small retailers, it's going to be hit on them as well. They accept SNAP. They're going to lose their so much of their ability to make revenue through the SNAP program. So this is nothing but a disaster. We are going to object. We are going to make our voices heard. And we are going to try our best to protect those who are going to lose benefits. But we have a fight on our hands. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend, a fantastic congressman who really stands up for our community, all of our communities. And I would just point out that villages like Portchester, City of Yonkers, where I live, New Rochelle, Mamaroneck, Peekskill, all of these communities are going to suffer disproportionately because that is where the hit is greatest. So with that, let me turn it over to my colleague, Congressman George Latimer.
Thank you to State Senator Shelley Mayer, and thank you for convening all of us here today. We appreciate your leadership in focusing attention on this issue. I want to recognize the Carver Center, Ann Bradner and her team. I'll talk about this facility in just a second, but they've done a yeoman's work in a host of different areas, one of which is feeding people that are hungry. Feeding Westchester as an organization, we were just there to tour the site over in Elmsford and saw exactly how their operation is. Very impressive, very well organized, and Tammy and her team deserve a great degree of credit for that. I've been in Washington now for 8 months. Prior to that, I spent other years, 30 years in public office in a local capacity. When you're in a local capacity, you're with Jewel Williams Johnson at the Theodore Young Center in the Fairview section of Greenburgh. You're not thinking theoretically in the halls of Congress about what happens. You're seeing it on the ground. You're on the streets of Tuckahoe at the community center on Columbus Avenue with Judah Holstein. You're seeing things as they are in the real world. You're with Erica Pierce in Mount Kisco in the real world. And you're with Nancy Barr here in Portchester in the real world. In the real world, those of us who are in government, we see what the reality is. If you are here during, not during the summer months, but during the rest of the year, this building, this organization sponsors a lunch on Saturdays, 11 o'clock, and they have volunteers coming in from local churches that help feed people. I've seen 40, 50 people here. I stopped by. Many speak Spanish, and my Spanish is not great. But the bottom line is these are people who need a meal in order for them to have nutrition and go forward. And what you see on the ground is people who are working. They're working in jobs for which their compensation does not allow them to go out and enjoy our finest restaurants. I see working men who are going from here to go out and work in a gardening capacity, women who are going to go out to be cleaning houses. So this argument about we need work, concerns and so forth, it's happening already in the people that are using these services. the Meals on Main Street organization that now has a mobile truck. That mobile truck came with assistance from the Community Development Block Grant Program, which the county government was helpful in making happen. And that now goes out into areas so that people who aren't mobile enough to go to a place where they can either be fed or pick up food can have it brought to an area nearby them. That's the way you address the problem of hunger right here in our backyard, in Ossining and in all the different communities that Shelley mentioned. The discussion in Washington that led to this bill was not a discussion of reality, it was a discussion of ideology. In that ideology, those who supported this bill asserted that the people who are taking these benefits are doing so improperly, that there's waste and there's fraud and there's corruption, but they didn't see it on the ground. They did it based on an ideology, because not only in food services, but this bill in terms of health care, in terms of education, in terms of the environment, cuts a host of different programs that they ideologically do not support, and so they come up with a rationale to convince you that there's really fraud and corruption. Come to the Carver Center. Come online on a Tuesday afternoon to the Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force on Mamaroneck Avenue. Come on a Friday afternoon to the Ridgeway Alliance Church on Ridgeway Road in White Plains, and you look at the people who are there, and you tell me if this is about fraud, waste, or corruption. These are mothers with children. They're trying to keep their children properly fed. They're not sitting home watching soap operas during the day as the ideological narrative would tell you that. They're working, and they're watching the children of other people who are out working. And they're trying to make a go of it. And what Feeding Westchester does, and through the Carver Center and so many other organizations, is they make it possible for that person, not in a year, not in 2 years, but to build their way up. And their husbands are working as they are, so that at some point in time down the line, they have a shot at having that stable American dream that brought them here. That was the same dream that brought Donato Mainero to the United States of America in the 1880s. Donato Mainero happens to be my great-grandfather, who came from Benevento in Italy. Came here for the exact same reason. So we are either going to run this country on understanding the reality of problems, or we're going to run this country with ideology, with messaging, and go to the media, go to the social media, and spin a yarn that's not reality, but makes people angry, that money is being wasted and spent on people who actually have these resources. The 22-year-old kid sitting in the basement, gaming all day long and getting public benefits. Come to the Carver Center. Come to the lines where Feeding Westchester are helping people feed. And then tell me that this bill is worth the paper that it was printed on.
Thank you, George, very much. Next, Tammy Wilson, the head of Feeding Westchester.
Good morning. Just want to say Feeding Westchester stands alongside State Senator Shelley Mayer, Congressman George Latimer, thank you so much, and many other local officials in the room to bring awareness to the devastating and concerning impact of H.R.1, otherwise known as the One Big Beautiful Bill. We are here together working to make sure that our neighbors in need are fed. Just to let you know, Feeding Westchester is the county's only food bank. We service 175 local organizations throughout our county, including the Carver Center. Thank you for hosting us today. To nourish our neighbors in need. This past year, Feeding Westchester distributed over 21 million pounds of food with 2.8 million neighbor visits throughout the county, even after losing 1 million pounds of food in March and April from a canceled federal program, which we will not see that funding or that food in this fiscal year. In Portchester alone, we saw nearly 570,000 visits. The need continues to be great every day. SNAP is critical to help Americans put food on the table. And for perspective, SNAP provides 9 times more meals than the combined Feeding America network, which is over 200, almost 200 food banks. That means the upcoming 20% cut alone is nearly twice what all Feeding America distributes in a year. No matter how hard Feeding Westchester and our partner agencies work, we will never make up that gap. With these deep cuts to SNAP ahead, we're incredibly concerned for our Westchester residents, our neighbors. This includes single parents, veterans, working families, seniors, children who are struggling to make ends meet. Over 19,000 of our neighbors are at risk of losing some or all of their SNAP benefits and will be left with fewer options and having to make choices they shouldn't have to choose between medicine and food. Combined with cuts to other federal programs like Medicaid, the choices become more difficult. I want to share a couple of stories with you. People like Vivian. Vivian is a senior and a longtime volunteer who told us, "I had to stop working when I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I rely on SNAP and it's still not enough. If my benefits are cut, it would be devastating to my health." This isn't an isolated story, just a small snapshot on the growing need in Westchester County. Just this month, we had an increase of our neighbors showing up throughout our entire county with all of our partners. But we had people actually showing up in our warehouse in Elmsford. A recently evicted mother living in her car with her 2 daughters. We've had a senior out of work, caring for her grandchildren with nowhere else to turn. They both came to Feeding Westchester. We provided food and other resources to connect them back to our partners. At Feeding Westchester, we're doing everything we can to meet this rising need, but we cannot do it without the support of the federal government, our partners, and of course, nutrition programs. When federal support weakens, it's our neighbors who suffer the most. People like Vivian, everyday people. Hunger has no face, it looks like anyone. But people are having to make impossible choices between health and feeding themselves and their families. Feeding Westchester and my colleagues and friends behind me, we are committed to working with officials at every level of government to ensure our neighbors have the food that they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy, and thank you for putting a real face on what this really will mean. Next, we have Ann Bradner, the CEO of the Carver Center, and then my other colleagues who wish to speak.
Thank you, Senator Mayer. Carver Center is a community center. We're located in the heart of the community of Portchester, and our mission is to nourish, educate, and empower Portchester residents so that the whole family can thrive. Several years ago, we commissioned a needs assessment, and the #1 takeaway was that the cost of housing in Portchester is so high that our working families are struggling to make ends meet. Parents often have 2 jobs. They often live in marginalized, shared, cramped rental housing. They are working to raise their children to become productive members of our community and our country, and they can't make ends meet. So our nutritional programs are designed to help offset the tumult that comes from this reality and to give them a foundation to succeed. So we cook hot meals at Carver Center. 700 meals a day during the school year go out to serve the children in our after-school programs, elementary, middle school, high school, and our teen center here at Carver Center. Sometimes that's the last full, well-rounded hot meal a child will have during the day. We also run a Saturday program called Dinner at Noon, in which volunteers serve food that we make here at Carver Center. Anybody can come for the meal, and we serve the meal on white tablecloths, family-style dinners, social time, and volunteers from local religious institutions come and others to help us serve the food and make it a social, warm community occasion, as well as an opportunity to have a full meal on a weekend. And then there's our Carver Market, which is our food pantry. We have seen unprecedented growth in the last 5 years. COVID revealed to us how many people were food insecure in our community. We used to be a supplemental food pantry, and we served 300 families a month. Right now, we have 3,600 families registered to use our market, and they can come as often as once a week. We served 700,000 pounds of food through the Carver Market last year, and we had more than 28,000 family visits in the market. It's an astounding degree of activity. We get our food from Feeding Westchester. We use private contributions to buy wholesale food, and we have a whole retail recovery operation that Feeding Westchester helped us start, where we go out and collect food that is perfectly viable but might otherwise have ended up into dumpsters from grocery stores. It's a massive effort. We're working very hard to make sure that it's high quality and that it's operated with dignity, which is one of our key values. The prospect of our residents losing SNAP benefits and more means that the burden to feed the community will continue to grow. And we are prepared to do everything we can, but we're deeply concerned because so much of the way we operate is a partnership, government, nonprofits, community together. And we all want to take care of our families so that the children can grow healthy, strong, educated, and participatory in this great country of ours. So thank you, Senator Mayer. Thank you, Congressman Latimer. Thank you, county legislators, for bringing attention to the severity of this problem. And thank you for being here today.
So County Legislator Nancy Barr, who represents Portchester and has been an incredible advocate for this community.
So how fortunate are we here in Westchester to have such amazing organizations like Feeding Westchester, like the Carver Center, and amazing representatives like Senator Shelley Mayer and Congressman Latimer. I can't imagine what it would be like to be here with any other group. I am so grateful for everything that Carver Center does. I have spent a lot of time here over the years, and I'm always amazed and impressed as they move into whatever space they need to help local people with what they need. I think the story that's been told today is so important, and I know that that on a newscast it'll just be a minute or so, but I hope that we can get this story out to everyone so they understand what's really happening here. They understand that this big so-called beautiful bill is a real disaster for people who really need it, that it's built on lies, that for whatever reason some people are supporting, some elected representatives, and we need to really get the true story out about who's suffering, why they're suffering, and how we are trying to help and ask for others to help as well. So if anybody sitting in this audience has some friends who you can inform, family members, anybody, we need to make sure the true story gets out there, and that's part of our job together. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Ben Boykin, County Legislator Ben Boykin.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Senator Mayer, for putting this together, and Assemblyman George Latimer, the Carver Center, Feeding Westchester, and my colleagues at the County Board of Legislators. I'm Ben Boykin. I represent the 5th Legislative District, which is most of the city of White Plains, all of the village of Scarsdale, and West Harrison. I'm also the former chairman of the board and currently serving as the president of the New York State Association of Counties. I flew to Washington with the executive director of the New York State Association of Counties in June, and we met with several of our legislators, primarily Republicans, to talk about the one big beautiful bill, and we say, please don't do this because of the impact that it is going to have on the state of New York. There were about 7 states there, both from blue state, red state, saying, do not put this on the counties. Because looking at SNAP, it's going to cost New York State about $1.5 billion. That will come to the state, but the state cannot take care of it. It will flow to the counties. And as Senator Mayer has said, we have roughly in Westchester County about 77,000 people on SNAP. That has grown from 40,000 people just a few years ago. So you can see almost 100% increase in the people that are in need. Also, when you look at this one big, beautiful bill, it will cost the state of New York roughly $13 billion for the cut in Medicaid. So we're talking about roughly $15 billion of cuts from just those two programs. But looking specifically at SNAP, because of the new administrative costs that we will incur, it will incur additional costs on Westchester County because you have to be certified. So you may be on SNAP, but then you have to get recertified. And the recertification takes place several times a year. So you may be getting SNAP today, but lose it tomorrow because you didn't get recertified. So this is a serious impact, and I'm so glad that we're trying to call attention to this and the impact that it's going to have on the most vulnerable people among us. So we need to stand up and make sure that we continue to advocate with our elected officials that this is wrong because you're hurting the most vulnerable people among us. So thank you very much.
County Legislator Erica Pierce, who also represents Mount Kisco, another community deeply impacted by this.
Thank you very much. So I'm a legislator in a very different part of the county. I represent Mount Kisco, Bedford, Lewisboro, Pound Ridge, North Salem, and Somers. And we have some of these same families who will be impacted tremendously by this bill. And I want to echo my gratitude, as everyone else here has, and to follow up on my colleague, Legislator Boykin. I am a member at the National Association of Counties, where this bill is being referred to as the big bad bill, and it is not a tax cut, it is being branded a tax shove. Because the reality is that our local people will be paying more in local taxes to get less benefits. And that's the reality we're all facing. And I want to continue to put faces together with the impacts here. Senior citizens in my district are increasingly facing food shortages. We see them all the time. They come in where we are lucky enough to have senior lunch program, and for some of those couples or individuals, that may be the only meal they get in any given day. SNAP cuts are going to impact our seniors at the same time as Meals on Wheels are also disappearing. So this is another group in our community that people, everyone, even these same elected officials who supported this bill, claim to support, who are going hungry, which is really should not be happening. We have abundance here. We have the opportunity to feed these people, and yet we're not. And as we face going back to school, September is around the corner. As a former teacher, I know full well one of the most important ways to make our students ready to learn is to have them come in with a full belly. It undercuts our investment in education if those students are showing up with empty stomachs. They cannot learn on an empty stomach. So in order to guarantee the best future for our younger folks and to best protect our seniors who have spent a lifetime working on behalf of their communities, we need to find a way to restore these cuts. This is unconscionable. Thank you so much for being here today.
I think County Legislator Judah Holstein wanted to speak, and I think you're okay. Okay.
Thank you, Shelley. I'm Judah Holstein. I'm the county legislator for District 10, which is Eastchester, Tuckahoe, and much of New Rochelle. Again, echoing the gratitude to everyone here and the Carver Center and all the folks with Feeding Westchester who do so important work to keep our hungry people from being hungry. You know, in addition to the comments that were made, Congressman Latimer mentioned that the county will take on a burden. Instead of being 50% where we're at now, will be 75% of the administrative cost. My colleague, Legislator Boykin, mentioned that the processing requirements are going up, which, guess what? The county has to deploy resources to process people now. So in addition to the extra costs we also have extra resources we're going to have to invest both in manpower and other systems to make that possible. And at the same time, we hear about the economic condition in the jobs reports. That 77,000 number is only going up as people, if you take out healthcare from the job report, the number was negative. You know, healthcare obviously a growing industry, but not enough to recover from all the places where jobs are being lost. That number's only going up, and we definitely need this. You know, this bill is the opposite of a partnership. Someone mentioned a partnership between government and our nonprofits. This is an attempt to undermine that partnership at the federal level, and it needs to be stopped. We need to find a way to get that money back. So I thank all those who continue to fight the fight, both with feeding our hungry people as well as with trying to achieve something that will resolve this problem financially in the long term. Thank you all.
Anyone else? Yes, okay. Jewel Williams-Johnson, County Legislator.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jewel Williams-Johnson. I represent District 8, which includes the balance of White Plains, the town of Greenburgh, and the villages of Elmsford and Tarrytown. I also chair the Board of Legislators Committee on Budget and Appropriations, and I have anxiety level like I never had before for our upcoming budget season. I'll be brief because I want to emphasize the gratefulness that we have to organizations like the Carver Center, like Feeding Westchester. And the whole time that Senator Mayer was reading those stats of the big, horrendous, ugly bill, all I could think about is other organizations, and I'll just single out one, the Westchester Children's Association, that helps us with stats on the poverty of children in our county, and how when their next report comes out, I shudder to look at it, to review it. But the main thing that I want to say to hopefully reverse all of this, and I'll be politically correct, but I would advise everyone to encourage everyone that they know that we hope the consequences of this big, horrendous, horrible bill is that people will finally comprehend and understand how very important it is that you vote every time there's a chance to vote, and you vote your interest. You have to vote your interest. People are suffering because they did not people will suffer even the more come 2026 because they didn't understand how important it is to vote your interest. People died, they were lynched and suffered while they were fighting for the right to vote. So that alone should encourage you to motivate you to vote every single time you have an opportunity. I don't care if it's village, town, school board, primary, off-season, whatever. You have to vote. But if you'd never understood before how important it is to vote your interests, I pray to God that you understand it now and every voting opportunity going forward. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. I just want to point out there are short-term consequences that will apply in the next county budget and the next state budget. This is not all in the future, as some of our colleagues have suggested. This is going to start to play out absolutely immediately in terms of the administrative costs and other costs, both in the county and the state. The state already facing, as Mr. Boykin said, a very significant budget shortfall as a result of the Medicaid portion. So this is an urgent, immediate need that we cannot delay the conversation, and we have to start the pushback hard. Thank you all my colleagues for being here. Thank you to the Carver Center for hosting us. I hope you go downstairs and see how beautiful and dignified it is in their beautiful pantry. And thank you for all of you for paying attention to this issue. This is a crisis we just have to address. Thank you.